Welcome to Indian Driving Rules, an online course based on Indian Motor Vehicle Act. This is a public service road safety program brought to you by Sarvejana Foundation with content created by Top Driver Education. This is Module 1, Driving Theory. And as we talked already in the introduction course, the foundation of Indian driving rules is based on two key regulations. One is the Central Motor Vehicle Rules of 1989 and the Motor Vehicle Driving Regulation of 2017. And both the above regulations are common to all types of vehicles such as two-wheelers, three-wheelers, and four-wheelers. But you will see in this program, we'll be focusing more from a four-wheelers point of view. But you can adapt the same rules to a two-wheeler or a three-wheeler also. Before we get into the rules and regulations, what are some traits and attitudes of a good driver? Because your behavior defines the way you drive on the road. First of all, we should have respect for other drivers and their lives and their safety. So we should not drive rash. Assume that other drivers may make mistakes and factor that in when you're driving, which is called defensive driving. We will talk more about it later. Be aware of your surroundings. Always check your mirrors, see what other vehicles are doing around you. And share the road with others. Don't compete, it's not a race. And never take driving for granted because road conditions change from moment to moment, and the same road you've been driving for many years might suddenly have a new pothole or some new obstruction in it. And don't cut into others' lane without giving safe space and signal. Cutting into others' path usually creates road rage and honking, and it's considered bad driving. And finally, adopt the attitude that I will follow the rules even if others are not. Short video clip from United Kingdom to show you how disciplined drivers and well-trained drivers behave on the roadways. The double yellow line or double white line should not be crossed, and you will see a lot of vehicles backed up, but nobody is crossing the line. That is the level of discipline that one day we should also strive to have on our roads. And as we already talked to you before, this course is based a lot on the Central Motor Vehicle Rules of 1989, the Section 31, and there are these six subsections, as you already know: driving theory, traffic education, driving practice, driver education, traffic education part 2, public relations for drivers, and first aid. Topics we will be covering in Module 1 is about driving theory, and specifically, we'll talk about pre-driving checks before starting your vehicle, and steering control, especially in a car, and seatbelt usage in cars and helmet on bikes for safety, and finally MSM and PSL, mirror signal maneuver, and PSL means position speed look. Before we go any further, let us understand the definition of a roadway. Normally, the public road extends from compound wall to compound wall, and it should not be encroached upon or obstructed. And to the left side, you see the pavement, and that's for pedestrians to walk. And then there is something called a shoulder, which is a buffer zone between the pavement and the roadway or the carriageway. You should not drive on the shoulder. You can park your vehicle there if it's permitted, but sometimes pedestrians walk on that because our pavements are crowded and obstructed. So never drive your vehicle on the shoulder. So the white shoulder line, that's the edge of the road for you. Don't cross that. us understand the concept of lanes because it's very important to safe driving. In this picture, what you're looking at is a 6-lane roadway. 6 lanes because there are 3 lanes on each side of the roadway. The left side is where we have to drive on in India, and the right side of the road is for the opposite side of the traffic. Never drive on the opposite side, never ever. Okay, that's the biggest mistake you can ever make. Now, in the left side, you have 3 lanes which are separated by those broken lines or dashed white lines. Always drive between the lines, never on the line. And the leftmost lane is called the left lane or the slow lane, and then there's a center lane, and then there is a right lane. Right lane is also called a fast lane on highways, but in cities, the better traffic and lane discipline is cars on the right lane and bikes and autos on the left lane. Not mixing two-wheelers and four-wheelers is increased safety for two-wheelers. Now, in this case, you also have a center lane, lane number 2, so that can be used by buses and heavy vehicles. So fundamentally, remember that all road users have equal rights. So let's start with, the CMVR section 31A of driving theory. So next, we talk about pre-driving checks. Is very important, and it just takes a few seconds to do. And basically, before starting a vehicle, whether it's a two-wheeler or four-wheeler, take a quick look around your surroundings for people, animals, objects that might be close to the vehicle or underneath the vehicle. And in a four-wheeler, first adjust your seat position before adjusting your mirrors, because when the seat is moved, the mirror adjustment changes. So the correct sequence is adjust seat, adjust mirrors, then put on seat belt. In a two-wheeler, sit comfortably and adjust both mirrors. Do not drive without mirrors.
Into the car, keep your key in a place where it's safe. Check your handbrake is on, check your levers neutral. Now the first thing to do is adjust your seat. You can move forward or backward by pulling the lever under your seat. Adjust your backrest to be comfortable. Not too close to the steering, not too far back from the steering. Once your seat is adjusted, you adjust your mirrors. Because every time you adjust your seat, your mirrors will change. Make sure you can see behind you and your side mirrors are adjusted. Okay. Now you can put the key in the ignition, check your ACs off, get your seat belt on, and this is where you turn the key on, check all your lights are working, and this is when you start the car. Press the clutch, start the car.
Continuing on driving theory, we'll talk about steering control next. As you have seen in the previous video, how to position the seat and the steering and everything. One thing we wanted to tell you is that don't try to cross your hands when you're turning the steering. Like how it's shown in the left image, never try to cross it. Always try to pass the steering from one hand to another, as you will see in the next video.
Turn to the right, push-pull method. Yeah?
Yes.
Pull with the right hand, push with the left. Pull with the right hand, push with the left. Pull with the right hand, push with the left. It's fully, the steering is locked now. Okay, I keep going. I keep going. Now I want to turn left. Push with the right, pull with the left. I don't cross my hands. Yeah? And I meet them at the bottom here. Right? To the left and to the right. So the hand is generally sliding around. The hand that is not holding is actually sliding along the steering. And
I hope you enjoyed the previous 2 videos, which shows the importance of adjusting a seat and your seat belt and positioning and everything. And now we'll go a little bit more into seat belts because it's a very important pre-driving check. Seat belts save lives, so buckle up compulsorily. On highways or when traveling at high speeds, make sure even backseat passengers are belted up because they run the same danger in an accident as if you're in the front seat. Any part of the car you're in, if you're traveling at over 60 kilometers per hour, just make sure all your passengers are belted up. We'll see a couple of videos next to illustrate the importance of seatbelt.
बिल्कुल ठीक है Oh man, when the red are you okay? No, no, hi, hi, no. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
So, as you saw in the previous video clip, in an accident, people in a car who are not belted up get thrown about and hit their body and their head against the windscreen or the seat or the door frame or something object within the car, and that's how they sustain injuries. So, if you're belted up, then you don't get thrown about, and that's your safety. And if you're sitting in the back center seat, that's a very dangerous spot because you don't even have this front seats to buffer you. You get thrown directly into the dashboard. So make sure you're always wearing a seat belt, even if you're sitting in the back seat. In a car, children are safest in the back seat with a seat belt on. And if they're small children, you should have a car seat. Car seat is hardly 2-3,000 rupees these days. So when you can buy a car for a few lakhs, what is a few thousand rupees? And children standing between the seats or in front near the dashboard or sitting on the lap are in an extremely dangerous and vulnerable position. In an accident, they are the first who will get maximum injuries. So please make sure that you enforce this. I know children don't like to be in a seatbelt, they will cry, they'll make a scene, and but it's in your responsibility to enforce it for their own safety, correct? And this rule is also covered by MVDR, and all over the world, if you travel to other countries, you will see that it is being enforced everywhere. Regarding pre-driving checks, if you're on a two-wheeler, make sure you wear a helmet, keep your mirrors correctly adjusted, not towards your face but towards the back, so you can see what's coming from the back. Preferably wear shoes or sandals when riding, so it gives you more safety and control. Don't overload, like going triple riding. That will affect the balance and the braking and the stability of the vehicle. This is an example, very extreme example of someone carrying a cupboard on their motorcycle. Just to save money, don't take such extreme risks. If the cupboard falls on somebody, they can die. It could be a pedestrian, it could be a child. So, keep safety before you try to save money. Keep safety in your mind. So, just as seatbelts are very important in a car, helmets are your first line of safety in a two wheeler. And it's a rule, you have to wear a helmet. And contrary to popular belief, a well fitted helmet does not cause hair loss. People fear that their hairstyle will get spoiled, or maybe they'll lose their hair, or it'll reduce their hearing. These are all not really scientifically proven. Okay, the most important thing that is proven is that a helmet will protect your life. It will protect your head in an accident, and you will not sustain major injuries. And when you wear a helmet, make sure you buckle up. Without the buckle strap, it's of no use. The helmet will fly off in an accident. Now let's talk about MSM and PSL. We talked about this in the introduction. So MSM is mirror signal maneuver and PSL is position speed look. And you learn more about this two very important aspects of driving in the next slide. So we talked about MSM and PSL being the fundamentals of proper driving. So let's explore more in detail about what is MSM, which is nothing but mirror, signal, maneuver. That means check your mirror, then put on the signal, and then maneuver, as in turn, stop, brake, change lane, so on. And PSL is position, speed, look, and that's very important when you're approaching junctions and before you're making any turns. So when must you use MSM? Well, you must use the mirror pretty much all of the time. And but importantly, you should practice MSM before you move off from a stationary position, before you change lanes to left or right, before you slow down, halt, overtake, before you approach a hazard on the road like a parked vehicle, pothole, dogs, before you hit the brake. And you can also check the door mirror before opening your car door, because sometimes there are two-wheeler cyclists coming too close to you, especially the driver's side doors. MSM, also called as mirror signal maneuver or movement, is a foundation of good driving. So if your vehicle doesn't have mirrors, you should not drive it. First, before you make any kind of lane change or trying to start your vehicle from a parked position, look into your mirror, make sure there's no vehicle approaching you from the back or the sides. And only when you have no traffic behind and beside you, then you put on your indicator. That's your signal. Use indicator or hand signals to show your intention of what you want to do. Okay, if you're going to stop to the left side, put on left indicator. If you're going to merge into a main road from start position, put on right indicator. Finally, after you do both these first steps, you turn your head and check the blind spot to make sure nobody is next to you, and only then make the movement. About blind spot. Blind spot is the spot immediately next to your vehicle which is not visible in your rear view mirrors or in your peripheral vision. They are very much next to you. So before you make a lane change, always turn your head and make sure there's no vehicle exactly next to you before you proceed to make the lane change. And this concept is there on cars and bikes. And this is another reason you should not drive close to big lorries and buses, because they have a lot of blind spots and you can get crushed by them. Another use of the door mirror is after you pull over to the left and park your car, especially on a busy street. Check your right side door mirror before opening the door, because sometimes two-wheelers or cyclists are driving too close to your vehicle, and then if you open the door, they might strike it and really injure themselves. And also be sure to tell your rear passengers not to open the door until you have given the green signal for them. Otherwise, insist that they should get off from the left door in the back seat always. This is a very common problem of MSM we see every day by two-wheelers and even by four-wheelers. So most commonly I've seen on two-wheelers that if there is an obstruction in front, like a bus is stopped, or maybe there's a pothole, or there is some obstruction in front, they immediately swing to the left or to the right to avoid that, without checking the mirror to see if there's a vehicle coming from the back. And there's a lot of time there is a lorry or something coming from the back, and a lorry cannot suddenly stop even if you're traveling in city speeds at 40 kilometers per hour. If you dart in their way, they cannot stop the vehicle, and a lot of dangerous accidents happen because of that. So, MSM is not just for changing lanes normally, but also in an emergency. Indicator, there are other ways you can signal to fellow road users on the roadway. One is hand signals, especially on bikes in heavy traffic. When you're too close to other vehicles, your indicator may not be visible to the car at the back. So just show your hand, left side or right side, so they know what you're going to do and you will not get hit. And if someone gives you way or is being courteous on the road, wave to them, make eye contact, let them know you see them and they see you. And sometimes you can flash your headlights to make others know that you're coming. And if your vehicle fails, you can use hazard lights, and that is when you pull your vehicle to the side of the road and leave hazard lights on. And the reverse light comes on when you're reversing. You don't need a reverse horn. It creates a lot of noise pollution. The reverse light is sufficient to tell people behind that you're reversing. And avoid honking except in emergency. Do not honk at every turn and at every curve. Just slow down, apply brakes instead of honking. Now let's come to position speed look, PSL. So after you do the MSM, where you did your mirror check, you did your signal, and then you did your maneuver, you also have to make sure that you're in the right position to take up the particular maneuver. So, which means that if you're going to turn right, you should be in the correct lane. You should move to the right lane and be there to make the right turn. And if you want to turn left, then make sure you're in the leftmost lane, ready to make that particular move or turn to the left. And then select your speed also. If you're going to make a turn, then you should slow down. And if you're in a manual car, change to a lower gear before a sharp turn on a slope. Never change gear after making the turn or during the turn. The correct gear should be selected before you make the turn. And finally, you look to see if your exit is clear. You're trying to make a left turn, see if the road that you're going to enter is clear, there is no pedestrians or no obstructions for you. So, a combination of the mirror, signal, maneuver, and a position speed look will ensure that people navigate through our roadways very safely, causing less inconvenience and hindrance to other road users. So, a perfect example of MSM and PSL is at every traffic junction. When you arrive at a traffic junction with signals or without signal, choose the correct lane. If you want to turn left, be in the left lane. If you want to go straight, stay in the left lane. You can also be in the right lane if you want to go straight, but sometimes the right signal changes very fast and then you get stuck behind a vehicle and that creates confusion. But you decide based on the traffic conditions at that junction. But one thing you should not do is if you want to turn right, you have to move into the right lane at least 50 meters before the junction. Similarly, if you want to make a left turn, move into the left lane 50 meters at least before the junction. If you happen to be in the leftmost lane and at the last minute you realize, oh, I need to take a right turn. So after the signal changes, don't try to cut across. That creates road rage and a lot of honking, and it's bad driving etiquette. Just proceed on straight, make a U-turn and come back. Not following MSM and PSL causes not just accidents but also road rage. In the next video, you will see a biker cutting from leftmost lane to rightmost lane after signal changes to green. This is very bad driving because this is causing obstruction to everybody and danger of an accident and road rage. People start honking. So choose your lane in advance and form a queue behind waiting vehicles. Don't try to go to the leftmost lane or a free left lane and then try to cut across to the right after signal changes. That is very bad driving.